If you want to see a $1 million unlimited budget boat build, you're in the wrong place. But if you want to see somebody beg, borrow, and steal, take a $175 boat hull and make a badass fishing boat, let's get going. I'm building an acrylic dash panel. I roughed it out for my steering, tachometer, trim gauge, stereo. I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna route all the corners in. I'm gonna round these off. Right now what I'm doing is I'm getting it up here. I'm marking where my reliefs need to be in the console now. And then I will jigsaw those out so I can mount my gauges on the acrylic and the stereo on the acrylic and just slide it on without the hindrance of this. I gotta put screw holes for the helm, and then I can get this on. Hopefully next weekend. We are painting the whole interior of the boat, and I gotta build the top part for my GPS's, switch panels. Let's go. Alright, I put the steering wheel on, even though this thing's ugly, and so you can see when I made clearance so I'm not over here where my throttle's gonna be. And you can see the gauges. A lot of people seem to make these panels and put the gauges right here, and then when they put the wheel on, suddenly it's in the way. Gauges, tack, trim, and the much needed radio. Got all the screws countersunk in, nice and flush. So Monday I will go and I'll round all these corners, and then I will take a router to this and make it look real nice. The first order of business was to clean and paint the inside of the boat, so we had a fresh area to build off of. The console needed a little extra attention. I had to fill cracks and holes from 46 years of unneeded accessories and nonsense. Once I had the console ready, the wife came out, helped me get it painted and looking nice. Now that the console was ready, we could finally move on to some rigging and getting this thing running. I have the filler neck fed down through the floor and over to the new gas tank. Got the vent hose hooked up. It was kind of a pain, very stiff. It goes down through a narrow passage just wide enough for it, and then it hooks down around and then through the stringer and then over here. So it's got to make a couple bends, so it was a bit tough. So I took Dawn dish soap and lathered the hose up, and then I drilled a little tiny hole in the end and tied a string through it so I could push and pull at the same time. Pulled the string through the hole here and pulled on it, got it on there, hooked up, vent hose is on. I have the fuel line for the back of the tank hooked up. I got to make sure I open the valve on that, and we are going to get all this stuff picked up, caulk this, put the floor on, and screw it down. I got the fuel lines in, the water separator hooked up. Now it was time to see if we can get this thing started. I was able to get it running, but in doing so, I found that the VST had a cracked reservoir. So that's the high pressure fuel pump, and it was just leaking fuel all over the inside of the engine. My VST, you see that crack right there? Right next to the nipple? Quick call to a local parts guy, stripped some used outboards, got one cheap, got it in, ready to go. Picked up one for an awesome price, and I just swapped it out. Used, because apparently nobody makes these, not even China. I don't understand that. Got her skirt pulled off here, got in there, it's replaced. I'm gonna prime this thing, see if it holds, and then put it all back together, hopefully head to the lake. Now it's time for the big impact. We're gonna sand the whole hull and get it painted. The vinyl boot stripe on the boat was so sun-baked after 40 plus years that I had to sand it off with 80 grit on a DA. And then I moved on to taking off the ablative bottom paint, because I'm not going to be storing this boat in salt water all the time, and I won't need it up all the way to the water level. I also sanded off the old hand-painted boat name on the sides, because this boat was ready for a rebirth. Now it was time for me to do a little light masking, fire up the Floridian paint booth. realizing the impact that a gallon of paint can do on something. Time to move on to the freshly powder coated E-box. My son climbed up on top of the T-top. We got that thing hung up, lined up, bolted in. Didn't take us long to realize that the red paint on the inside of this boat was getting hot in the sun. So I decided to appease the riders, and I spared no expense buying a VEVOR EVA foam boat flooring off of Amazon to make this boat look like it had a custom sea deck. Now it's time to splash this boat for the first time in a while and do a proper christening. I christen thee Darth Vader! Nailed it! Over the last month, we had a huge impact on this boat. From painting the inside, painting the outside, got the E-box on, mounted a bunch of accessories, acrylic dash panels, twin GPSs, stereo, switch panel. It's really moving along. We got some more work to do. We got to get the canvas on the T-top. We have to get the gunnels painted. I'm going to sea deck the gunnels. It's really moving along. But this thing is on the water. It has been sitting since 1990. That is longer than I've been alive. But it rides great. It's kind of a strange style. It's lightweight, but long. Not super powerful, but I think we'll push into the 40s. If you've made it this long into the video, hit that subscribe button. We have a lot more to come. I've got more parts on the bench. I've got more stuff on the way. We're going to keep turning this boat into something really nice. Does it keep sounding like I say butthole? Boat hull. Let's try that. 5 minutes after the christening, I slipped on the boat, and so that should be a good sign, I would say.
Terra-Shark does not steal or condone any type of law breaking. This is a disclaimer. We only used for the fun of using an AI lawyer looking guy to read some nonsense.